Ghana, paradise found. What a beautiful place. You know, everything seems to just grow better, faster, more dense in Ghana. I swear if you walked on a tar road, you have to find a tar road first, but if you had to take a walk on a tar road and just sprinkle some seeds down, I promise you it would sprout and grow. Everything grows, and with such ease. It's just, as I said, it's paradise. Very lush vegetation. You know, huge trees. I think that's where you find the rainforests and that. I always wondered why they call them rainforests, but the humidity in Ghana. That was the first thing that actually struck me. So when I got off the airplane, obviously with my glasses on, and I could see clearly inside the plane, and I took the first step out, and suddenly I could see nothing because my glasses just immediately misted up with the humidity. That's how humid the air was. And you know, and together with that we had the heat, but it's not like a dry desert heat. It's a comfortable tropical heat together with that humidity, which, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're on holiday. Or perhaps it reminded me of my growing up days in tropical KZN, tropical Durban, except this was on another level, so it was hotter and more humid. But really, really beautiful place. And you know, with the heat, you do get thirsty. And one of the things I remember, it always made me laugh when I was there, because when you got really thirsty, you couldn't find water. What you could find was Guinness beer. So Irish beer in an African country, which you can buy on the street just about anywhere. And that's because there is a Guinness factory in Ghana. And the cost of a pint of Guinness is cheaper than buying the equivalent quality of drinkable water in Ghana. So wherever we drove, if I got thirsty, the driver would say, you know, do you need something to drink? And then almost like you'd stop, and from a street vendor, get a cold bottle of a cold pint of Guinness. And so that was my sustenance, liquid sustenance in Ghana. It's like rehydrated with beer, because it was cheaper. But then again, maybe that's why I liked the place so much. I was always in such a great mood. But what I did there in Ghana, my business trip to Ghana, was almost like going on safari, because what I had planned was a round trip to almost every gold mine that was in operation. And I had locals that were guiding me and driving me. So I had a driver with a 4x4 and a couple of local metallurgists that accompanied me. And we went through we drove actually from one gold mine to the other, and then overnight at the gold mine, and then we would carry on. So for a period of about 10 days, I think we managed to cover just about every gold mine in Ghana. So it was quite an adventure, and doing it that way, I really got to see sort of Ghana at its best, and not just Accra, the capital. I really went out into the remote areas of Ghana and got to see how the locals lived and got to mingle with the people. It always struck me, their hospitality always struck me. And they're such, at face value, you'd be a bit apprehensive because they're very big, powerful people. The men and the women, they are tall, well-built, just naturally powerful people. And you'd expect them to be aggressive because they're so big, but they're not. Like gentle giants. It was so hospitable, so helpful. And I really love their company. I love being around them. They made me feel actually quite special as a visitor to the country. But there were some sad things. Every country has got its good and bad. And when I did, in between my meeting people at the mines, I did do a little bit of sightseeing, and I visited a place called Elmina, which is the slave port in Ghana. And that is where the slaves were actually loaded onto ships. It wasn't just from Ghana, but the slaves from neighboring countries around Ghana. They were loaded onto ships there, and I got to visit the fort and look at this very, very narrow gap they had in the thick concrete wall and these people are big, Ghanaians are big, and I could try to picture how did they manage to push a slave, and they only chose the big guys to be slaves. How did they manage to even fit in that gap? I don't know. And the gap was cut in the wall a lot higher than where the ship, so they fell basically, pushed through, and then they had to fall into the ship that was docked below, up on by the wall, and it was very heartbreaking for me. It was extremely emotional, very, very sad. And I kept thinking, how could we as human beings do this to other human beings? It really brought a tear to my eye. But as I said, the Ghanaians are proud people. They've had some troubled history, but they're very proud people and big-hearted. And I'm very pleased to say that I do have clients in Ghana these days, and I've made a couple of trips, business trips there, and probably will make a couple more, I'm pretty sure, in the near future. But a beautiful place, Ghana, paradise found.